My fire died out. Could you get my bit for me?
Be careful you don't set off the alarm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to the life and time of the Azteca civilization. Yesterday, today, tomorrow, now. We are in present day influenced by many of the things the Aztecas gave us. Not only by language, by food, just about everything within our own life. As you can see, many of us are very proud of our heritage, and we take dance classes, we take history classes, we do everything to find out about what was what. Now, this Aztec warrior is actually wearing a loincloth. I was trying to get him to wear that. He said it was too cold. But so, ladies, I'm very sorry. I'd like to give you a little history about the Aztecas and how they came to be in Tenochtitlan. It has been said that the Aztecas came from Asia, crossing over the Bering Strait between Russia and Alaska. It freezes over. They actually walked over, came and settled in with the upper portion of North America. They stayed there for several years. They are a polytheistic type of people, meaning that they have many gods. The one god that they did carry along with them from Asia all the way across the Bering Strait to Aztlan itself was Huitzilopochtli. Now, he apparently told some of the gods that there were certain things that they had to do. They settled within that area that they call Aztlan for, I believe it was close to 600 to 700 years. One day, Huitzilopochtli said, guys, I have an idea. You're going to travel to Mexico, you're going to go to the lake, which was Lake Texcoco, and you're going to find an eagle perched on a cactus. This cactus is going to be surrounded by a lake. And that is Lake Texcoco right there. And sure enough, they found the cactus and they thought, how are we going to build a city here? He told them that they were to build a mythical areas such as this, pyramids to the gods of the sun, the moon, to just about every god that they had. Let's see. They said that the Aztecs settled in a place where they saw an eagle perched on a cactus with a snake in its mouth. The Aztecs called the place Tenochtitlan, which means place of the cactus. At first they were really unimportant people. They were just average people, and by the 15th century, the Aztecs gradually built up a large empire. This empire that they had was something that the Spaniards, when the conquistadores came, they could not believe, because Spain was very crowded, very dirty, and they come here and they find, plants growing on the, what do you call those things? Near the causeways. In order to get from one part of the island to the mainland, they had to let out like a little bridge, and only they could control any of this. They had floating gardens. They actually were one of the first ones to actually start growing the plants within the water itself. Let's see. All of the Aztec boys were expected to serve in the army when they were old enough. However, the aim of war was not to kill the enemy, but to take them as captives. These captives were the ones that were going to be sacrificed in due time. The society, Aztec society, was divided into classes. At the very top was the emperor, of course, and then the priests and the various nobles and that they had. Below them were merchants, craftsmen, peasants, and then, of course, they had the slaves. You can see on the Aztec, the map, Tenochtitlan is right smack in the middle. The empire itself was very large. The first time I looked into this, I was really surprised. I thought it was just Mexico City and that was it, because that's what all I was told. On the upper right-hand corner, you see the image that Huitzilopochtli told them they were going to have the cactus. On the little piece of land that you see there, you have the snake, you have the eagle with the snake in its mouth. And this is the mythical land that he wanted the Aztecas to build. These are two of the most famous pyramids that they have. The Pyramid of the Sun, and which is this one over here, and then they have the Pyramid of the Moon. The sun and the moon were very, very important to these people. Not only did they look to astrology, astronomy, they were very well versed in all types of mathematical sciences, biological things. They were super, super advanced people. We have family life.
In the Aztec household, education, at least in the early years, was the responsibility of the parents. The father would teach the sons and the mother would teach the daughters. The man formed or did craft work such as pottery, weaving, metalworking, and wood carving. The woman cooked, cleaned, and made clothes and crafts, taught their daughters the skills as well. Until the age of 10, boys stayed home learning the skills from their fathers, and then they would go to school for general education and military training. Girls were expected to learn housekeeping and homes. Both adults and children played games, used toys, played sports, and attended many other activities. Aztec families also did many activities together.
As you can see by some of the pictures here, the families were always gathered together. I think one of my favorite ones is the one in the middle where Dad is teaching the family about astrology, forming in the stars. And here you have the various aspects. We have the Aztec slaves, and you can tell by the women that are wearing the plain white, such as the ones up there. This one may have been a little more elevated than just the slave, because she has embroidery on her outfit. The corner one, lower corner one, is an actual marriage between two Aztecas. The Aztec clothing. As you can see from some of these pictures, these are Aztec slaves. Their clothes are very, very plain. Just a plain tunic. The man has his loincloth, or the young man. Up there, we have a woman, not exactly a slave. The slave is in the middle. And this woman is a little bit more elevated. Notice the coloring on her outfit. The women up in the upper corner are actually weaving maguey plants, which are what these people here are gathering. These are woven together with cotton in order to make the clothing. The women had to make the materials. They were in charge of actually dressing the people. And this is an Aztec commoner, a picture of them. The Aztec women were held responsible for making Aztec clothing. This meant that they also were responsible for making the fabric. This was done by weaving cotton and most time fibers from the maguey plants. The Aztec clothing was generally loose-fitting and did not completely cover the body. The Aztecs wore different clothing depending on their age. Children younger than 3 wore no clothes. From the age 3 and up, girls wore blouses and boys wore capes. From age 4 and up, the girls additionally wore short skirts. From age 5 and up, the girls' short skirts were replaced by longer skirts. Get this, at age 13, boys finally were allowed to wear loincloths. So all this time, all they had on was a little cape, just free to the wind. Clothing and warrior.
Right, so the warrior was a glorified position in society. Boys in the empire would receive a good education, no matter what the prospects for a career were. Then there would be actual training in the battlefield. Young Aztec men, warriors, at the age of 17, that's when they started. Those who were of noble lineage, however, also received training in religion, politics, or history by the priests. The priests, too, engaged in warfare, as the overall purpose of the Aztec warriors was to serve and pay respect to the gods. The clothing. The warriors were revered in ancient Aztec society, and they often wore elaborate loincloths adorned with jewelry such as gold and turquoise. The two main military sects were the Jaguar warriors and the Eagle warriors. And each soldier wore clothing appropriate to their ranking and group. Warrior clothing also included headdresses and shields. Warriors would don feathers, a headdress with eyes and a beak like the eagle, compete with talons. The Jaguar knights would wear the skin of a jaguar, claws in their shoes, and paint their face to look as menacing as a jaguar. Right here. These were the most coveted warriors, and the retired high-ranking warriors often worked in the king's court or held a position within the royal circle for payment due to the years of dedication.
And if you notice on the headdresses, they have the feathers. Depending on what stage you were as a warrior, you have the smaller feathers. You started having peasant feathers, and the quetzalcoatl that they use. Those things were huge. They're long. You can still buy pheasant feathers. Extremely, extremely expensive. I think they're a medium-sized one is like $75. And you've seen a lot of the dancing warriors have it all the way. Okay, music and dance. Okay? Music and dance. The Aztecs are known for their wind instruments, as you can see here. They have the flutes in the middle. They have the Aztec drum. This is a conch shell that they have. They use rattles or beads. What was it? I forget what they were called. Mati, do you know the name of the shells?
I do, but it escapes me right now.
Ayoyote? Something similar to
Yeah,
that?
something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And these shells are used around ankles, around the wrists, and they're rhythmic. And when you're dancing and you have the feathers going, you have this kind of like a swaying motion it's kind of like a hypnotic dance when you really start looking at it and you see how the feathers are moving around with the people. The Aztec dance itself, as you can see, the feathers are absolutely gorgeous. The picture, the lower half is where you can actually see the shells. We have tiny shells on, but they still make a little bit of sound. And the picture in the lower half is an Aztec dancer in its glory. Look at the size of those feathers, they're wonderful. And now the most important part, the Aztec food.
Aztec food. Maize was a staple crop of the Aztecs. Aztec women ground the maize into flour on a stone slab with a stone roller. And we actually have one right here. It's just in a miniature size, so if you're welcome to come see it after. It's a miniature size, but you can come see it. It was then made into masa and baked into a kind of pancake called a tortilla. Aztec women cooked on a clay disc called a comal, which stood on stones above the fire. Maize was also made into a kind of porridge called atole. The Aztecs ate tamales stuffed with vegetables, meat, or eggs. The Aztecs also ate tomatoes, avocados, beans, and peppers, as well as pumpkins, squashes, peanuts, and seeds. Limes and cactus, fruits were in abundance. The Aztecs' diet also included rabbits, turkeys, and armadillos. Dogs were also eaten. However, meat was a luxury for the Aztecs, and the ordinary people only ate it infrequently. The Aztec nobles also drank an alcoholic beverage made from the fermented maguey juice called octli. Upper-class Aztecs drank a chocolate made from cocoa beans flavored with vanilla and honey. Poor people drank water or sometimes an alcoholic drink called pulque, made from the sap of the agave plant.
And these are the works cited that we used. And that's it.
Any questions about?
Any questions? And this isn't just for show. Whenever we're done with the other one, you're more than welcome to come up and.
I have a question about, you mentioned peanuts in their diet. I was under the impression that the peanuts were brought over by the African slaves.
Apparently from some of the sites that I went on to, they actually did have peanuts there.
So
And
they were here before the Spaniards came over and the
I
and the
don't-
slavery?
I'm not exactly sure. I couldn't tell you 100%, but from some of I looked at 2 different sites and we did mention that they had peanuts, which were along with the grains and stuff that they had.
I know many of the dishes in certain parts of Mexico were influenced by the slaves that, you know, the African slaves who lived there, and then incorporated the peanuts into the recipes, so that's where, I thought you could know. But anyway, very good. Other questions? Where did you get the incense?
Oh, that smells great.
Ventura,
Ventura?
I did it, my daughter did.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice job, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.